We're good, just time for the sun to come out. Hi everyone, I'm Michael. Welcome back to Back Alley Bonsai. Today is Halloween 2022, and I'm going to be working on this spooky ficus. This is my tall, thin Ficus Benjamina with a twin trunk. I'm going to be doing some defoliation on it, taking a look at the branches on it. It definitely needs some thinning. And then I'm also going to go ahead and take a look at the roots on this thing and see if it is due for a repotting. So let's get to it. Got my turntable here, get the tree set up. Figure out where the heck I put my scissors. Oh, right in front of me, naturally. So we're just going to start off by going through and removing most of this foliage. And all I'm going to be doing for this is I'm going to be removing just the blade of the leaf and leaving the petiole behind, a little bit of the stem that goes right up to the blade. Hopefully that way I'll be able to preserve as much of the branch as possible, because on this Ficus Benjamina, it will drop branches if there is not some sort of greenery remaining on it or some sort of growing edge. So I want to minimize that. I had pretty good luck with this in the last couple of years as a technique. So I'm just going to do that again. And I think I may put this on hyperlapse. We'll see what happens. I guess we'll find out when I get to the end of the video. Need to sharpen my tools. A lot of construction noise in the background. I apologize for that, but there's nothing I can do about it. Yeah, this is pretty time consuming and you don't necessarily need to do it, but for this tree, it's got so much congested growth in here. I want to make sure I can really see all of the branches before I start just chopping away at stuff. try and preserve some of the leaves that are growing at the ends of branches, just to help encourage, or rather help to prevent any dieback. Because it doesn't really matter if I save the leaves on the end, if I go ahead and take the end of the branch off, but whatever. This ficus is so robust, I'm not really worried about it. There's almost, as long as I don't completely chop its roots off and throw it in the sun, I think it's going to be reasonably okay. Famous last words, right? Okay, so there we have it, mostly defoliated. And instead of doing a total defoliation on this tree, what I've opted for is kind of a partial defoliation. I'll bring you in close and show you what I'm talking about. So as you can see here on this leaf, this is kind of my example of what I would do. Because these trees do tend to drop branches if there's no viable leaves on them, I'm going to kind of split the difference and take off most of the blade, which keeps the tree alive and keeps it feeding water and nutrients to that branch without necessarily letting that leaf get in the way. And by also restricting its ability to photosynthesize, it will start to open up all of these buds, and there's buds that are ready to go and just waiting to be activated all over these branches. So now what I'm going to do is go through and do some branch selection, and there's a lot to choose from in here. There's some branches that are getting very thick, they're getting very long. You can see all this nice dark growth like this right here. Up here, all this brown growth versus this gray growth. This brown growth is all brand new as of this year, so it's had a really bumper year of growth. So I'm really excited about that, but it does definitely need to be reined in. And I think I'm going to start with this branch here. It's got this long straight section right here. This whole branch is growing very strongly, and I want to encourage some more movement in it and open up some of the space. It's also getting a little bit taller than I'd like it to be. The whole thing is, you know, way above this. So I think I'm actually just going to take it off right there. Pretty good. Probably could take that and plant it as a separate cutting and have something pretty good right away. Next thing I'm going to take a look at is some of these other crisscrossing branches. I've got a lot of them. I've got this one right here, just growing upwards and into the structure. I don't really want that, so I'm going to take that off. Same thing with this one. Some dead nibs, take those off. This is all pretty straight, so I'm going to go and just take the growing end off of there and hopefully get some subdivision. Same thing with this one. This is growing very straight, so I'll take that off and hopefully get some subdivision as well. Yeah, take off the growing end on that one as well. This is growing straight up, and I don't really want that there, so I'm just going to take that off. I'm going to take off this really strong growing bit right there. And I'll leave the rest of that. Here's another one that's growing in a strange way. It just cuts across the front of the branch, front of the tree. See from the front here, looking at this branch, and it just cuts across. So I'm not gonna remove it completely, but I'm gonna cut it way back to there and see what it does. This one's also getting just too long. So I got two other branches right there. I'm just gonna take it off to there. Looking at this one, same thing, just getting too long and straight. So I'm going to take that off to right there. That one way back. Take the tip off of that one, see what it does. This may die off. Let's take a look at these two. which are just growing long and straight. These are, pull this back a bit, see it a little bit better. So I'm looking at these two branches which are coming off of my side trunk. And honestly, I've got a lot of really viable growth underneath it, which I think I may go for instead. Get some more taper out of it. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to take the main growth off. And then I'm going to clip off this big branch. Take out that one. Yeah, we'll see if maybe I get lucky on those. I've got two branches right here. This one here, I'm pretty confident will grow. This one I'm not as confident about. And I've got a little back branch growing out over here just because I like that one. I'm going to keep it. All right. Now we're going to take a look at some of this. This branch is getting really thick, so I'm going to cut it way back. Same thing with this one. Take that off. I'm going to take that off. I'll keep this one. You okay over there, buddy? Dog's chewing on old leaves. I got this branch, which is just cutting across the center structure. Don't really want that. This is getting way too thick, so I'm going to take that off there, and then we're going to take that back to there. That's going straight up. I don't really want that. That's getting a little long. Opportunity for side growth on that. And this is kind of cutting across as well, so take that off. Take a look at that from the front here. This is pretty long and straight. Don't really like that very much. So I think I'm gonna take it back to there. Same thing with this. This is very long and straight. So I'm going to take that off and hopefully break that up visually. I've got these two branches, this one and this one, that are competing with each other visually, like they're right next to one another. I'm going to take this smaller one off. I want to keep the small one and get rid of the big one. Or take this one off instead. No, that won't fix the bar branch problem. But it's not too bad. Yeah, I'm gonna take off the smaller one. Yeah, I think it looks pretty good. Pretty good setup for the next growing year. Now to take a look at the roots. Oh, it is in there. That actually looks okay. It's not nearly as pot bound as I thought it was going to be. Well, those roots are actually looking pretty good. I'm really pleased. Aside from this spot back here where I took this big cut out of it, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and bury this thing maybe there and see if I can get some root growth out of there. All right. remove some of these. All right, and now to remove some of these bigger roots. There's a real big one going almost straight down right there. Just gonna take that off. Which is good, because that one was nearly dead anyway. One's getting a little potatoey, so I'll take that one back. There. You can see there's a ton of roots in this thing. A lot of these are basically aerial roots. So I plan on going through and reburying this thing pretty deep to try and get some regrowth there. There are still a few other roots under here, which I probably don't need. This one's growing at a weird curve. This whole thing is actually just one big old root. There, now we can kind of see where the actual root mass is. Right there, just this big old wad. And also, it's also really dry compared to the rest of the soil too. So I'm just going to chip away at some of this. The thing about these Ficus Benjaminas, though, they will regrow roots really easily. All right. Not a lot left on its roots, but I think it's going to be okay. That's enough for a Ficus Benjamina to do. So the plan now is to bury it nice and deep. See what I can regrow on it. All right, so I'm just going to put it back into its original pot. Got a drainage screen, put that into the hole in the bottom. Boom. Start tossing in some soil. Again, I want to get this thing buried pretty deep. This might be a little bit too deep, but because I want to cover up that ugly scar on the back. Hoping maybe to get an aerial root to drop down or something. Well, there you go, everybody. That is the fall work on my twin trunk Ficus Benjamina. Pretty aggressive, but I think it's going to look really good next year. As always, like, share, subscribe if you enjoyed this content, and have yourselves a wonderful day.